What's up, everybody? Do you sometimes feel down, or maybe this week you got sick, or maybe things just aren't working out and you're like, why me? Well, today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to deal with feeling down or not great or just not good or however it may present itself because it happens
Or
to
a
all
bad
of
way.
us. Yeah. This is the Existential Stoic podcast. I'm Randy. That's Danny. What's going on, Danny?
What's up, Randy?
So, Danny, have you ever felt down or sick or just not, all sunshine and rainbows?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah, I know. And I I suggested because this week I got sick. I might even go whatever. I don't know what it was. And it's still I'm feeling better now. But like every time it happens, it's like I always have like an existential crisis on like the second day. Because like I know I need to rest, but I don't want to rest. And then I get mad at myself for not getting things done. And like part of that I know is a problem of like connecting my self-worth and my happiness to like productivity of some sort, no matter what that is, however I define that. And then the other side of it is like I just like I'm a big baby when I don't feel I know I am. Like, and I feel like I should be better at this now. And like that I should and like I do get clarity and perspective on it sometimes, but most of the time I feel like I don't have that. And I'm just like today I felt like it was a good day. I had good clarity on it. I let myself rest. I played with my dogs. I had a good day and I feel better. And like I took a nap and all, and that was good. And like I didn't beat myself up. But like the last 3 days, I can't say that I was that good at it. Like and like it's just hard. It sucks. And like I don't know, it happens every time. I wish it didn't,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know.
it's funny that you mentioned you felt like a big baby because I laugh all the time. I think that as adults, we literally are just like babies inside of bigger vessels. Like the things that we do when we get hungry, when we're tired, we just like throw a fit. And yeah, so
Oh, dude.
definitely,
There's so many times I could get so aggravated and then I eat something. I'm like, oh my God, I was just hungry.
I know.
I was like, it's not the situation, it's not these people, it was me. And I
Yeah.
wasn't paying attention to
Same thing,
myself.
same thing
Like,
happens to me at night. I'm like, uh-oh, past your bedtime, you better go to sleep. Yeah.
uh,
But it's I mean
but
it's such a
oh
good
god.
point because these we all get stuck feeling bad, and it happens to all of us, and it happens to some people more often than other people. But regardless, we all feel that, and I don't think anybody likes it. Nobody looks forward to it. Nobody wants to be in that scenario, and yet we're stuck there. And so I think we should kind of go over how to navigate that effectively because it is
Uh,
something that we all experience on a regular basis.
yeah, and I think I would also add to that two of the things that I think uh um like exponentially make it worse too is like expectations and like your own sense of expectations, whatever they are, or the expectations you place on yourself. And like that feeling that you always have to be on and doing something. You know what I mean? Like whether it's like you have to be working or whether you have to be happy or whether you have to be ready for like the next engagement or encounter or social activity or whatever, right? Like feeling like that you always have to be ready to go. You can't miss anything, like that feeling. It's funny because I think like I've noticed like since we started doing this, especially like and having more routines has been super helpful because like I've been trying to keep a better bedtime and like that really does help. Like it's stupid, it's simple, it's like it's a simple habit, but like having a more structured day does seem to help because like it keeps you more grounded and it makes it easier, I think, to both like let yourself relax and to also get back into your groove quickly once you start to feel better. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I like what you mentioned earlier about kind of having the compassion to allow yourself to not do stuff, to just relax, to feel sick, to feel down. Because I think that's such an important part. Like so often we're striving by might and may to get out of feeling bad or feeling sick that we don't actually realize where we are. And just giving yourself the compassion, it removes all that strain from trying to get rid of it, but also you get to just be there. And I've noticed, so like here's what has been happening to me recently because
Okay.
I've kind of made it a habit that anytime I'm feeling bad for like more than a day, I listen to the meditations by Marcus Aurelius because like
Good
that is
choice.
something that gives me such immense perspective, and it's available for free on YouTube. It's like 5 hours long. I listen on double speed. It takes 2.5 hours, so like it's available to anyone for free. And this is something that like here was the richest guy. He had the most power, And yet he's talking about how we're all going to die and how, we just need to come to grips with that. And it really helps me when I'm feeling down, just be like, okay, fine, I'm going to die. Let's just focus on today. And then I can kind of get back to the point of, okay, today I'm not feeling good. I'm sick, I'm down, whatever it is. Let's stop trying to fight this and let's just allow this to be and experience this. And it's crazy because like we watch like sad, sappy movies, and we see these people looking sick, and you're like, oh, if only I could feel that way, where I'm curled up in bed feeling terrible and this sad
Yeah.
music's playing. It's like you have the opportunity all the time. It's just when you're there, you're trying to be this like happy-go-lucky person jumping around, partying with friends and everything like that. Yeah.
It's funny. Yeah, it's like, Aristotle said that like this, going to the theater and stuff, that catharsis was important. So like we could experience these emotions that like, we might not all have the opportunity to experience, like with tragedy, but it was a way to get that catharsis, to exercise it. But like with common modern entertainment, it's like every emotion is like amped up and we experience it, what do you call that? Like as a voyeur, right? Through this medium rather than actually ourselves. So it's like a disconnect with our own emotions. It's like we're getting catharsis when we have these experiences all the time in like a way to deny them. It's really weird. It's a weird psychological thing going on. But I would also add real quick though, with Marcus Aurelius, just for perspective too, if you have like 5 minutes, go on Wikipedia and look up other Roman emperors and see how they behaved. And it's a good, like, I think, thing to
Yeah,
see
they were
what we're
like
talking about with him.
gluttons. Yeah.
Yeah. Like they were like high school kids,
Hmm.
like I have the most, I can get the most, and they were killing each other constantly. Like it was insane.
Well, that
So
was the
yeah.
only way for power to be transferred back then. There were no,
Yeah.
there were elections, but like usually they were preceded by a murder, and then yeah, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So another thing that I noticed is, uh, there was this study that was done how like your perspective of how your life is in general is about 70 to 80% dependent upon how you're feeling at the moment. So if right now you're feeling good, your perspective for life is pretty good. If right now you're feeling bad, your perspective for life is pretty bad. So I noticed this in my own life that I was being such a victim to the circumstances of my life. Like when I felt when my life was not going well, things weren't going how I wanted, I wasn't feeling good, all of a sudden I was in a bad mood. And then when things were going good, I was in a good mood. And I'm like, where's the power in that? Like, where am I in
Yeah.
that? I'm just being totally a subject to whatever's happening in my life. So I'm not saying that's changed, but what I am saying is that I've started to recognize that and recognize how I'm subject to the whatever's going on in my life.
I was just gonna say, like I've been so much better at that, as like being aware of it and recognizing it. It hasn't necessarily changed wholly. Like I said, I think it has though, in the sense that like today I had a good day. Like that was good. Like that was a bonus for me. You know what I mean? Under normal circumstances that wouldn't have happened. But like it is funny when you're aware of it, how dude, I also noticed too, like I make myself feel worse, literally feel worse, because I'll start to focus on like, oh, my stomach hurts, or oh, I'm exhausted. And then I get more tired because it's all I think about. And so it's like I think about it to the point where I get depressed, where I can't even get up, and then I just pass out. And it's like, maybe it's like forcing myself to take a nap. I don't know. But like it's just funny because I also notice how quickly we can manipulate ourselves into being like a higher version of whatever that crappy state is. But you're right. Like there is no control there. There's no agency. There's no intentionality. It's just we're just making our own sad situation worse, right? We're just, that's just it. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And also all these value judgments that we put on our life, that we put on our job, that we put on our identification of who we are as a person. Like I think it was probably from one Martha Beck book or something, but she was talking about being a mom and how like nowadays everybody's concerned with being a
Oh yeah.
good mom. And it's like back in the day, you were just a mom. There was no good mom or bad mom. You were just a mom. But now there's like you have to be a good mom. And it's like back in the day, there was just a day. Like this is just the day. This is
It
just what it is. It wasn't a good
has to be a
day
perfect
or a
day.
bad day. Like you just if you're shoveling shit, you just shovel shit. Like that's what it is. And so, but by having these value judgments, and especially when they're supposed to be good and when they're supposed to be getting better, it's put such pressure on you to have some type of event that's just like unnatural.
Dude, I noticed that, it's funny you mentioned that. I noticed that, like, I got a dog about a year and a half ago, and I noticed that, dude, if you look online at any videos on raising a dog, it's like it has to be perfect, it has to be good all the time, it has to have like know all these things. It's like that's so unrealistic. Like they're gonna mess stuff up in the house. Things are gonna happen. It's okay. They're dogs. Like you have to find a balance to where you can live with them and be happy and like they're the right companion for you. You know what I mean? Like but it's funny because you watch this ideal for perfection and this like idea being sold to us on all these videos and stuff, I think is also really toxic because it's like there's no balanced state. Everything's perfect. It's like when people show you their house, it's all perfectly clean and looks like a museum. It's like that's not lived in.
Well, you also need to realize who's trying to manipulate you. So like
Yeah.
especially with advertising and marketing, they'll do this so often. There will be commercial. I remember this all the time when I used to travel abroad and then I would return to the United States. I would see commercials and I'd be like, "Oh my God, they're just selling people that people are pieces of shit and the only way to be good is to buy their product." Because this is what they
Yeah.
do. They're like they give you a bunch of examples like this is what good is. This is what good is. This is what good is. And there are a bunch of things that are unattainable for you. And then they give you an alternative. They're like, or you can buy our thing and that'll make you good. And you're like, oh, I can do that. These other unattainable
Yeah.
things I can't do, but I can buy this product.
It's
I
too
can do
hard.
that. So then I can be good. Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. So it's like you always have to watch out for who's trying to manipulate you because it's very insidious. It's very mean.
Yeah. It's like I can't be a DJ right now. I can't be a graphic designer, but I can buy an Apple,
Right.
thing
And
or
I can
whatever.
buy the
It's like
turntables. I can buy all the equipment right now.
yeah.
Yeah, I can have it all.
Yeah.
And I can do it on credit card, which is even better, which means I can have it when I can't really afford it.
Yeah. It's crazy. It is. It's nuts. Yeah.
So
And
what
so I think, oh, I was gonna say, yeah, what were we talking about, right? No, so I think one thing that I noticed has been helping me a lot, and this is I can't remember, I think this was something you told, might have been something you mentioned to me, I don't remember, but like I've been doing a lot more, and I did it today, was like when I start to feel down to where I am feeling down, I look at my day too, and I tell myself, like, what's one thing that I could do really easily? Like to get something done that I know I, because like if I have a list of things, like I usually have a to-do list, right? Like what's the most important thing I can knock out quick, get it done, and then just call it a day. And
mm,
I did that today. And the thing took me 10 minutes. Like literally, I just had to turn on my computer. I was like, blah, 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 done. Super easy. But when I got it done, I felt better because I was like, all right, I got one thing done. Now I'm taking the rest of the day off. And it was like, it gave me the freedom to take the day off. Or like, although I didn't get everything done on my list, I was like, at least I got that thing that I knew needed to be knocked out today, knocked out. Now I can just watch movies, let myself relax, sleep, and I felt so much better. And then I played with my dog outside and like went for a walk, and it was great. And I feel so much better now. Like it's actually like amazing how much better I feel than what I did earlier. And like I think that was part of it. The stress in your head of like thinking you always have to get shit done. It's like ridiculous, you know?
yeah. Well, that's awesome. The simplifying it mentality, because so often we go the opposite direction. Like I was talking earlier about how our direct mood right now impacts how we think about our whole entire life. And so like particularly when we're not feeling well, when we're sick, when we're depressed, whatever it is, we think that's how our whole entire life is going to be. And not only that, but those are the times when we feel like we have to change our whole entire life, or we have to plan our whole
Yeah.
entire life, or we have to get ready for our whole entire life. And nothing
Yeah.
could be further from the truth. I remember from that book we read, Dare, on dealing with anxiety,
Yeah.
how he was talking about one day at a time, like compartmentalize your days. And that's been such a helpful skill, especially the times when I'm not feeling great, because those times when I'm not feeling great, by default, on
The
autopilot, I
hardest.
go, I need to figure out my life and do this now. And my life
Yeah.
is looking
Yeah.
terrible right now. So I better figure it out right now. But then I'm just like, okay, pump the brakes. Like,
Yeah.
let's just focus on today. Can I just handle today? Can I get through today? Okay. What can I do today? I have these hours in front of me today. What am I going to do today? And just focusing on that, because it helps get rid of all the other abstractions, all the other things that I don't need to deal with. And particularly like the things that are outside of my control, or things that I shouldn't be dealing with this moment anyways, and just allows me to focus on what's right here in front of me and doing like what you said, like focusing on that one task that you can get done today that will make you feel great. Or just realizing that, okay, today I have 8 hours.
Yeah.
Like, let's pamper myself for 8 hours. When was the last time that I did that? You know? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's funny. You know, it's also helped me too. I think it's a good is being more honest with myself about how I feel. Because like that was one thing I was mentioning to you earlier before we started recording was like when I really thought about it today too, I knew like my head felt so cloudy that I knew if I sat down and really tried to do any honest, like to God, like thinking work, like my brain just wasn't there. Like I couldn't even really read because like everything was just like it wasn't sticking. You know that feeling, you know?
Uh-huh.
And like I knew like so what's the honest truth? Well, if I sit down and I try and do something, I'm just gonna get more frustrated at myself because it's not coming as easily or it's not going like it normally goes. And I'm just gonna get madder and madder and more depressed and more negative. And like, so why even engage with it? You know, why? When tomorrow I'll probably feel better if I rest today and then I'll get all that crap done anyway. You
Hmm.
know, it's like,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, I remember that question that you brought up, like when we experience anger, like when was the last time anger was helpful? And, you can also ask the same type of question, especially when you're
oh yeah,
feeling down. Like, when was the last time that like pushing myself when I felt bad was helpful? Most of the time, for me at least, I need to push myself less when I'm feeling bad and actually rest a little bit because I'm
yeah.
just tired, I'm cranky, and I need some sleep. Like that's usually the answer.
It's like the advice you would give your friend is almost always correct or your loved one, right? Because like we're so hard on ourselves, we're so uncompassionate to ourselves. It's really amazing actually how bad we are at it and how hard we are for no reason. Like we would give everybody else, like any of us in the same situation, we would give them the leeway. Like, you know, like I was stressing tonight because like I was supposed to meet a friend tonight and I texted him, I was like, dude, I'm not, he's like, ah, whatever, that's fine. You don't worry about it. Like, you know, catch up another night. Like, cause obviously like one, like I'm not gonna be fun to hang out with. And like it's just funny that like when you actually ask for it, most people that you know are going to be like, yeah, yeah, go for it. So it's like, why don't you just do that for yourself too? You know, extend the same courtesy.
Dude, it's crazy that you mentioned that because I had the same thing. I wasn't feeling well last week, and I had to cancel a couple appointments that I had, and I felt so guilty about canceling appointments because like I hold myself very accountable for my word. If I say I'm going to be somewhere, I'm going to be somewhere.
Yeah,
But I was just like feeling terrible. I was literally like dripping sweat. Like, when you have
yeah,
the flu and you're just like you can't stop sweating. I was in air conditioning and I was literally just like pouring sweat. And I felt guilty about canceling these appointments. I was like looking back, I'm like, of course you could go. Could you imagine like what they would
yeah.
see? You would look like a maniac if you went there.
Yeah, that's the funny part, dude. When I texted my friend, I was like in bed, you know, oscillating between freezing cold and so hot. And it's like, what? Why are you pushing yourself? And it's funny because I feel like I did notice, like, with the whole thing with COVID and all the lockdowns and everything, like I've noticed that people seem to be, I think people are a little bit more. A lot of people got a little bit more caring with themselves. I don't know if it was necessarily caring or just like scared, but like they don't go out as much when they're sick. And I think it's a positive thing all around because I think we should. But there was that mentality for so long to like go to work no matter what, go to school no matter what. And so you just get everyone else sick. You're not a full participant. You know, it's like you're miserable. It's like it's just miserable. Like it makes no sense.
Hmm. Yeah. So, uh, what would you say when you're feeling down, when you're feeling not great, like what are your go-to things for like this is what I need to do for maybe people who are feeling that right now?
Like ideally,
Ideally,
what
yeah,
I hope I
ideally.
always, yeah,
If we lived in a
what I
perfect world, not what we
yeah,
actually do.
yeah.
We don't have to talk about what we we don't have to do what we do. We just do what we say. Yeah.
Yeah, this is what happens on day 3 or 4, not the first two,
Hmm.
I'll be honest. But like this is what I hope to do on day 1 eventually, right? I try to first like assess the situation and honestly ask myself, like, how do I feel? And like if I'm like marginal, I'll get a shower or something and then reassess and see. Because like sometimes that helps me get clarity. Sometimes like am I just like coming off and being lazy? You know, you never know. Like, you know, have I not done anything for a few days and that helps. But if I still really feel bad, I just try to be honest with myself and ask myself, like, can I really do what I expect to do today? And is it going to be efficient? And if not, why am I not letting myself take the break that will then make me better the next day? Because otherwise I just prolong it and it goes on way longer than it needs to. And it actually, I think long term, I think it actually diminishes productivity anyway, because you end up feeling worse for more days and doing marginal rather than just taking 2 or 3 days off, feeling actually better and then going back to it 100%. Like I really think like I've noticed that so much that like now if I take the time off, relax, go back to 100%, things go so much better and smoother, and I'm just happy. But a
Mhm.
lot of it is fighting that negativity and fighting that like that doom and gloom that seems to come with it. And it's like that, I think, is getting perspective, getting out, and just being more caring of yourself. It's hard, but it's doable.
Yeah. I like what you said initially with like recognizing that you're not feeling good, because I have such a struggle around this, because I identify as a very healthy person, and for me to get sick it's like something very unnatural is happening. And so like usually I experience it when I'm journaling in the morning. Like I'm just feeling like absolute garbage, and I'm like, I should explore this. And I'm like, I'm not sick. I'm not sick. I just need to change my mentality, and I'm not going to be sick. It's all going to pass. And then I'm just like, okay, like just relax. Like it's a
Yeah.
couple days, relax. Yeah. So that's pretty funny.
But that's the hard part, right? It's amazing how hard it is to relax or to stop. I mean,
Hmm.
it really is, and it's really funny because it's counterproductive, but it really is hard. And I think a lot of it is just like this, like it's that myth we were told of perfection, of like the people that succeed work all the time. They never stop. They're always going. They always have good ideas. They're always, working at 100%. The people that are good mothers are great mothers, and they're perfect, and their house is clean, and they do all these things, and they go to yoga or whatever, right? It's like it's that same BS
Hmm.
story of not real lives, but ideas of lives. And like you have to put things in reality, and you have to put them in reality in context of your own life. And I think that's also important because it's like ask yourself, like, what do you really need to do right now? And I think that's an honest question. Like I asked myself that today, and I was able to feel happy today doing one thing for 10 minutes. It wasn't much, it was very little and marginal, but I was being honest with myself because the rest of it I can do tomorrow. It's not necessary right now, so screw it, I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah. That's
But
awesome.
it's hard. It
Yeah.
is. It's
Yeah.
not easy.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. But it's like a challenge, and you get better with every iteration. Every
Yeah.
time through it, you get a little bit better. For me, I would say, uh, one, I no matter how I'm feeling, I always like to get outside and get some fresh air every day. Like,
Yeah.
and especially if you're feeling sick, like I'm not talking about going to a public place and exposing other people to whatever,
Oh, I
but
sat
like,
on the porch the other day in the sun for 10 minutes. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Go to a park, sit in the backyard, whatever it is, get some fresh air, because you know maybe that helps dilute whatever's going on in your system to get it out of you, but it also just feels good, and maybe gets you some vitamin D, whatever it is you need. So that would be one thing. And then the other thing is, like you mentioned earlier, just allow yourself to rest. Because for me,
Yeah.
that's one of the hardest things. Like I'm afraid of losing momentum. Like that's one of my biggest
Yeah.
fears, aside from
Yeah.
the fear of death, is the fear of losing momentum, because I've done it previously in life, and it's hard to build up momentum. So like
Yeah, it is.
once you've built it up, you don't want to lose it. And I always like, that's my biggest fear, is if I don't work as hard as I possibly can today, I'm going to lose that momentum, and then it's going to be so much work to build that back up again. But actually letting myself rest, because usually I can say like most of the time that I've been sick, it's been due to just lack of rest.
Yeah.
As soon as I
Yeah.
get a
It's
couple nights
exhaustion.
sleep,
Yeah.
I'm good to go. Yeah.
That's half the time I'm not even sure. I think it is just exhaustion most of the time. Because like pushing yourself to it. But it's funny, what you said too about momentum. And just to clarify that too, because I think I know what you're talking about in the same exact way, which is like you build these habits and these routines to be as effective as possible. But every habit takes you have to keep doing it to build that habit. It keeps getting better and better. But if you stop to rest, there's that fear that you're going to break those habits. Because in the past, I've done the same thing. I've broken my habits significantly in the past, and it's really hard to get them back. But usually, if you have good habits, even getting sick for a few days is not going to ruin them. And they actually help you get bounce back faster. And I would add to that too, like if you're not feeling well too, allow yourself to rest and do whatever you can of your normal routine that day. Whether like especially the important stuff like journaling, you know, taking a walk, what those kind of things that are more like for your mental, physical health, not for like work, but like that stuff I think is crucial to keep in your day because it keeps that routine structure. And then when you feel better, you can get right back to it.
Absolutely. So there you have it, a bunch of handy hints for what to do when you're feeling down, when you're feeling depressed, when you're just not feeling like the sun is
We all
shining
have
out of your
bad
back end.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Yeah, because we all get there sometimes, but the cool thing is we can all get through it, and this too shall pass. I've always wanted to get
Yeah.
a ring that says that. This too shall
Yeah,
pass, just as a reminder, because that is such a handy saying. But
it is.
yeah, so thank you for joining us for this episode of the Existential Stoic podcast. Make sure to check us out on YouTube and all the podcasting platforms. We'll be back later in the week. I'm Randy. That's Danny. I'll see you later, Danny.
Later, Randy.